What's going on, guys? So today's video is going to be me sharing a video with you from another channel called Off-Road Recovery. Really great content on recovering people that get their vehicles, trailers, and other things stuck. And they made an excellent video on a specific situation where an owner of a large toy hauler was going up a gravel hill and found themselves in a position to where they were no longer able to move. Basically, the weight of the RV was pulling against them, gravity and all that, and the truck was trying to pull uphill, and it was probably more of a traction issue than anything, where the truck just was not getting traction down to the ground to be able to continue to pull the RV. So what he was planning on doing, I really don't know what he was planning on doing in the long haul, but from at least what I saw in the video, he was planning on unhitching the toy hauler and releasing the truck from it. Now, I don't know what his plan after that was. I just know that that was talked about in the video. After unhitching his fifth wheel, it rolled. And it rolled off of an embankment into the woods on the side of this gravel road. Now, why am I making this video? Because if you look at the situation that he encountered, you'll find that the RV was put in a position to where if the frame of the RV was as poorly constructed as people think frames of RVs are, it likely would have torn itself apart. And there probably is some level of frame damage to this RV. But the purpose of this video really brings up a topic that I talked about when I was trying to truly uncover where these frame flex, frame failure issues were stemming from, and why being the second, third, or fourth owner of an RV can possibly put you into an RV that has had something happen to it that is relatively extreme or traumatic to the structure of the RV. Now, I'm not saying that this specific situation is something that all used RVs have gone through, but it is an example of where somebody who is completely trying to just figure out how they're going to get out of a bad situation got themselves into a worse situation, and in the process had likely caused a significant amount of damage to their RV. And if that RV gets repaired cosmetically, ends up on a dealership lot, and you purchase that RV as a pre-owned unit, are you truly going to know the type of stress that it went through? So if you do have a frame problem, are you going to say, well, this is because the frame was horribly built? From what I saw in the video and the way that the RV was pulled out of the situation that it was stuck in, I was actually pretty dang impressed that the frame held up. I was pretty impressed that it was able to go through what it went through with no craziness on camera associated to the frame, like the upper deck buckling or the hangers that hold the shackles that they actually chained to or cabled to help get it out didn't snap off. They were very aware that components on the RV could absolutely fail. They were aware of it. They know in many ways how RVs may or may not be constructed, and they mentioned that in the video when they were, planning their idea of how they were going to pull this big toy hauler, possibly with a toy in the back. I'm not sure about how they were going to pull it out of the situation that it was stuck in. There were a lot of things I didn't really like about the setup, considering the length, what they were trying to tow it with, the length of the bed of the truck, and things like that. But my honest opinion is not any real negative judgment on the owner of the RV. I think the situation that they were in was a really bad situation, and they were trying to figure out a way out of it. I think had they used tire chocks behind the RV to ensure that it wouldn't roll, or at least help mitigate the risk of it rolling, I think that would have changed the entire scenario completely, especially if you're going upgrade. But all that said, really bad situation to be in. They were able to get their unit out of that situation. I want you to watch the video. I'm not going to replay the whole thing, but I will play certain parts of it so you can get an idea of what the situation was and how Off-Road Recovery removed the RV from that situation using a bunch of equipment that, quite frankly, they probably weren't 100% sure would work. But the takeaway here is understanding that probably the supreme vast majority of RVs that are sold pre-owned haven't gone through that type of traumatic situation, but there are a lot of RVs, especially RVs that are taken off-road or taken to areas that, you know, you have to get through to get to the scenic area you really want to go, that have seen off-road usage. And this, to me, is actually considered pretty dang extreme off-road. From a cosmetic perspective, there were things that were damaged, but nothing there, in my opinion, from what I saw, was damaged beyond the point that you couldn't quickly fix it cosmetically. Maybe replace some of the skirting, maybe even having to replace the front leveling jacks, having to change out tires, things like that. You could throw this thing on a dealership lot, the next person could come and buy it, and they'd be like, hey, I got a pretty good deal on this thing. It's a pre-owned unit. Obviously, it's been used, so all the problems have been fixed, not understanding some things that may have occurred. It only takes one traumatic incident to potentially cause some type of an issue for future owners. So I'm going to show you clips of the video, and hopefully you kind of understand the point I'm trying to make here.
All right, so we're going to explain this casualty here. So each hill, if you look back there, goes straight down, and then there's a hill over here. Go straight up. So there's about 1,000 feet down this road, and it goes up 100 feet, has a small flat area, up another 100 feet, small flat area. The guy was pulling this big camper and he could not make it up this hill, and it's been about a week now, but his ruts are all on the side of the hill. He couldn't make it up the hill. So he had this really great idea to drop the camper right here on this road, and you can't tell from the video, but it's still a pretty good incline. And as soon as he unhooked, it rolled down this hill, busted off that jack, bent that jack, and is now framed out on the side of this embankment. And there's a dead stump holding it from going down the hill, and if it lets go, there's nothing stopping it going another 200 feet down that hill. So we actually recommended about a week ago to call a local wrecker company with a heavy wrecker to kind of lift the front of this up so it's not sitting on the frame, because we have no way to lift it. That company was, how to put this nicely, unable to help. So he begged and begged and begged us to pull on it. So we pulled on it and busted his hitch off. We only got one usable tree for an anchor, so we're going to set up a triple line pole. And again, for the record, we tried turning this job down because we believe it still needs to be lifted. We did put some blocks in front of the rear tire, hoping that when we pull it forward, it'll climb up on the blocks, lifting the front of the trailer. And to our surprise, it started moving pretty easily here at first. His hitch, the bolts right there, busted, twisted it back, and messed up the jaws. So he went and got his hitch welded on. This piece is still a weak point. We don't like it. It's all mangled up. So what we're going to do is come down here with multiple vehicles. And I pretty much never recommend this because this is not a good idea, but we really don't have an option. Is we are going to hook to the brackets that are welded to the frame that hold the leaf springs on. They're not very strong. They don't make anything on these campers very strong. But I think if we pull on the truck again, it's just going to snap that hitch back off and it's going to go down the hill. So we want to hook to this bracket here with one truck and pull it this way, and then the truck on the other side to hook to the other side bracket and pull it that way, and kind of slingshot the camper up and push the truck out. I think that's the only way we are going to be able to get this out. This hill is like a blessing and a curse. It's stopping it from rolling down the hill, but also stopping us from pulling it up the hill. Now when we pull up on this, it's going to damage his side, but he's fine with it. It's the only option we got. Maybe I can chain this whole unit to his truck, so then we ain't worried about that hitch failing. Maybe he's got some tools and we can take these two bolts out. Then we can turn it all the way around and just pull them on the throat. Hey, do you want to just take that tailgate off so we don't damage it? There we go. Now we can bring it over here.
Got it, man.
Yep, we want it. We got to jack it up quite high, so we want it as high as we can.
Type thing.
Yeah. Okay, set this through here, grab that. Well, it moved forward a little bit, but it's like hitting a brick wall. It won't move. We're putting too much force on the back of the Jeep. So we're going to do some re-rigging, but we're going to re-rig it one truck at a time. We now have several extensions out, and both trucks are going to be pulling on those shackle mounts on the trailer, back up to a dead man, and then to the front of the truck. So now the trailer is going to get about 80% of the force. The truck's going to get about 20%, but it's all going to be pulling together as one, and I'm able to run both trucks with wireless remotes. So if it breaks, this will stop that hitch from going through my window. Whoop, but it's moving. Ready? We're going to use your truck and hook to him, and then we'll hook the tractor to you, and then we'll pull him up the hill. Well, he couldn't make it before. That's how he got in this situation. We hook the Jeep and help him just like a tow, not a yank. And then we hook the tractor to the front of the Jeep. So both will be pulling on him, pulling the camper up the hill.
Grab that red one. Whip it out.
So there it is. Now, after watching this video, people are going to say, hey, this is just making excuses for Lippert and how they make their frames. The reality is that is a Lippert frame under the toy hauler. It is an older toy hauler, not super old, but it's probably, I'm going to guess, about 7 to 8 years old. And that RV clearly, I think by anybody's account, was subjected to a situation that no fifth wheel should ever be subjected to. And the question at the end of the day is, without truly understanding if anything had cracked or broken on the frame structure or the superstructure, you could see that it was able to be pulled out of the situation it was in with the frame still intact. And there's a lot to be said about that. Anyways, guys, please leave a comment below. I would love to know your thoughts on the video. Let me know what you think they could have done differently. Let me know how you may have handled it if you were in that situation. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.